We're going to kick this off, so grab a seat. There's some in the front row here. There's some couches and other interesting sitting devices over there. Yeah, everyone, welcome to the New York MusicTech Meetup. I'm Seth Hillinger. This is our April event. We're doing it again. Let's just get things rolling here. I'm going to introduce Caitlin Mahoney, who is going to play a song for us.
I'm going to play a song from my new record, Spin, which is out in May, and I have a release show in New York on May 1st at Rockwood Music Hall at 8 o'clock, and you get a free CD when you buy a ticket. So this is from that record. It's called Wolf. The wind is cold as it hits my face. I feel the lines my tears have traced. I walk down some quiet street praying for anything to distract me. Should've known you were a wolf, I should've known. Should've known you weren't good all on my own. I can't believe I didn't see it when I looked into your eyes. Sweet, smart, kind was all part of the disguise. Oh, 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 you were wearing wool, but you were a wolf, and I should have known. Couldn't pick a better time to be leaving. Put a big old ocean between us. I gotta get to a new place. My head's not working so well these days. Should've known you were a wolf, I should've known. Should've known you weren't good all on my own. I can't believe I didn't see it when I looked into your eyes. Sweet, smart, kind was all part of the disguise. Oh, 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 you were wearing wool, but you were a wolf, and I should have known. I put you up on a pedestal, thought every word you said was wise. You were the one who was supposed to know better. You could have thought twice, but I can't give you all of the fault. It was my choice to let you in. I should have known. Should've known you weren't good all on my own. I can't believe I didn't see it when I looked into your eyes. Sweet, smart, kind, a disguise. Oh, 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 you were wearing wool, but you were a wolf. You were a wolf. And I should have known. Thank you. Thanks for listening.
Okay, so don't leave just yet. Tell us a little bit more about yourself. Where are you from?
Well, my name is Caitlin Mahoney. I grew up in Orlando, Florida, and I've lived in New York for the last 4 years. And I've pretty much been a full-time musician for the last 2 years, which means I'm a temp during the day. So if anyone needs a friendly receptionist, I will happily answer some phones for you. And when I'm not doing that, I'm out on tour. So I'll be on tour for all of May in support of this record. And I'm an indie musician right now, so I'm doing it all pretty much on my own. And I can't wait to hear about all of these apps and companies. I'm really thrilled to be here. So thank you. Thanks for letting me be part of it. Thank you.
Yeah, and she's got a really great YouTube channel as well. You should check that out. And so, yeah, this has been like a new thing a bit for the meetup. Actually having music at the MusicTech Meetup is just like, I don't know why I haven't been doing that. But it's awesome. And so thank you, Caitlin. Okay. So tonight we have The Orchard, Izotope, Milq, and GigWax. And you know, at every event I try to have like a little theme that ties it all together. I don't know if you saw that last email that I that I wrote. It was a little story that I kind of made up about Caitlin. But you know, it's kind of true in the sense that there's a whole picture that's being told, a whole story in the music tech space. It's what I've learned from just this event on a personal level, is how broad and how many different ways that technology touches music. And so let's take that journey together. I don't know. Or not. Let's pretend. But anyway, let's kick it off. First, I'm going to have Katie from The Orchard say a few words, and then we'll have Eshan from The Orchard give his demo.
Hi. Thanks, everyone, for coming. This is The Orchard. We do distribution for clients in music and film. And we're really, really excited about our products. We're excited to have Eshan show you some of our release builder and analytics tools tonight. We are hiring, not to plug too much, but especially in the technology space. So any software engineers, any product designers, any data engineers, product managers, please talk to one of us afterwards. If you're at all interested, we'd love to meet you and tell you more about us. Thanks for coming.
So, as Katie mentioned, The Orchard is a music and film distributor, and which means our core function is that we get your content to places where it can be monetized, whether that's iTunes or Spotify for music, or Hulu, Xbox, Netflix for film. So that's kind of what we're well known for. That's part of our core value proposition. But we also offer a lot of marketing and analytics features, and that's really what I want to focus on tonight. So here we have our marketplace, and this is a way that our clients can connect with third-party app providers using the assets, the metadata, meaning like the track names, artist names, et cetera, that they've provided to us, supply those to third parties, and sort of really simplify the discovery, onboarding process. So I just want to show you really quickly. This is an app that we created called the Press Kit. So I'm going to go ahead and install this for one of our artists. So it asks you for certain permissions. You have to agree to the terms of service. And then now you're in the Press Kit app. So we can quickly create a Press Kit. And right now it is accessing our API and pulling in all of your track information, release information, photos, tour dates, anything that you've supplied to The Orchard already. So when you come in here, it's basically already set up for you. You can customize it a little bit if you don't want, say, the tour date section. You can pull that off. You know, you can rearrange these elements if you like. Customize it a little bit. If you want, we have a track listing here, It's by default, it's just text, but if you want to make full streams available, you can do that. And it is now pulling in the full audio files through our API, making them available here. And as soon as that finishes loading, you can see them here. So there you go. And that's it. As you saw in a quick few seconds, you can set up a press kit to promote your album. Now, this is an app that we created really as just a proof of concept and to show prospective partners. We also share the source code with any partners so they can see really how to integrate with our API, make it really streamlined and easy for them. I just want to mention a couple of the recent partners we've incorporated into the marketplace. This one over here, Muso, they scan the web looking for unauthorized torrents and links of our label's content. So that's been pretty popular. We have Radar that helps you connect to directors and film people to help you construct a music video. Another popular one is Click Push, which uses our music to sort of increase brand engagement, and they have sort of games and interactive experiences. So these are a couple of things that we've integrated recently into the marketplace. So the next question is, how do you know if your marketing efforts are actually working? So for that, I want to take you to our analytics. So when you come in, you get a list of your top artists, releases, and tracks. Let's look at Kings of Crunk. And if you look at this, this is all the sort of real-time information that we're pulling in to tell you how your content is performing. So at the top here, you see album downloads, track downloads. That means like, the iTunes world. Then we get into ad-supported streams, subscription streams. This is more like Spotify. But we keep adding more channels as the industry evolves. And one of the ones we added just recently was audio UGC matches. And what that means is if you have a song with us, we deliver it to YouTube, they calculate a fingerprint on it with their Content ID system, and they find that whenever a user uploads a video using your song, you can actually monetize that. So we can take a look at what are these 133 UGC matches. So let's break this down by track, take a look. And we see here that it's mostly this one song, Throw It Up by Lil Jon. So let's take a quick look at that. Yeah, we'll skip the dirty one. So this is obviously a user-generated video, not super high quality, but still fairly compelling. Anyway, so this is 12 million views that this user's video got that previously you wouldn't have been able to monetize, and now you can monetize that and look at your performance measure right here. So we always have more of these data feeds coming. I'll show you sort of the list of what we have at the moment. So these are some of them. We have a lot of them. We're always signing more. We just signed a deal with Shazam so people can monitor how many Shazam matches they're getting. And so we're always interested in new data sources. So if you are involved with a company that can provide interesting functionality to our clients that we can expose to the marketplace, come talk to us. If you have interesting data that you think our clients would like, also come talk to us. And finally, if you want to work for us, go talk to Katie. So, all right, and that's my demo. Thanks a lot. So does anyone have any questions?
Can you repeat the question so I have the microphone?
Sure.
Questions for Jahan. Someone kick it off.
With this, like the data sources list and the different types of analytics, is there any pulling in of like licensing information? Like if you get your song placed in an ad, or like any sort of like royalty information that you might have from radio? Is any of that data
Okay, so the question is, do we incorporate information about sync licensing, placing music into ads or movies, games, and what about performance data like radio play? So we offer both of those services at the Orchard, but sync deals, like placing it into ads and films, are kind of one-off deals, so they don't really generate a pretty graph, to be honest. That we do pull them into your accounting and display them. And on the other side, the performance side, we also do collect information from Sound Exchange, PPL, other performance rights bodies. We don't put it into this analytics because we don't get that information from those parties in real time, but we do show it in accounting when they account to us, which is typically much later. So it's not, that information is not dynamic enough to make your actual marketing decisions or spend decisions on. We obviously do tell you what it is so we can account to you and pay it.
Have you guys looked into live streaming services? So Ustream or Livestream or any of those services that you might be able to further monetize viewings of live shows that have been performed?
So the question is about live streaming services and whether we've looked into those. Our biz dev team may have. I'm not personally aware of any, but certainly that could make for a great marketplace partner or a partnership, and we're always open to those things.
Do you turn any of this data into actionable items that musicians and their marketing teams can use? Or is it just the data and you provide recommendations for what they can do with it?
So I'd say that the question is, do we turn this into actionable? Can we make all this data actionable for our clients? And I would say that we're at the beginning stages of that. I mean, it's step one in our mind is showing the data so they have it and they can interpret it however they want. We're always trying to push that forward. I'll give you another quick example here. So we have this heat map, and we'll stick with little John. So this heat map, some of our clients use to actually plot their tours, for example. They can see where they're getting the most activity, and they can decide that's how they want to do their tour route. So I think that we're making some inroads, but it's a really big, interesting, complicated question of how do you take all this data and turn it into concrete decisions. So I would say that's always evolving for us.
What's the process if you're an artist? How do you get on the Orchard, or you're an app developer? How do you use the API?
So the question is, how do you work with the Orchard, either on the music side or on the app developer side? So on the music side, we have a sort of a sales process. You can certainly kind of sign up through the site, and so one of our salespeople will contact you. We don't take just straight open sign-ups. There is a deal process with contracts. So you can work with our sales team on that front. On the app developer front, it's in some ways similar. We have commercial terms with all of our app developers, and we do vet the apps slightly to make sure that they're providing value for our clients. But you can talk to me if you're interested in that, or our biz dev team, and we can talk about how to integrate apps into here. But we always welcome new apps, especially things like the live streaming or areas that we're not covering yet. Great, thank you.
So just out of curiosity, raise your hand if you are on the music side, if an artist or work for a music company or something like that. Okay, cool. And what about on the tech side of things, entrepreneurs or like that? That's me. Okay, cool. It's almost like 50-50. What about I don't know, PR people, music PR? That's kind of cool. Lawyers. Nice. Oh, good. Few lawyers. Venture capitalists. Any investors? Not expecting. All right. Just curious. All right. So next up we have Bradford from Izotope. He told me this really great story on the phone that I just kind of have to share because it's just amazing. He had come to one of our meetups a few years ago when he was living in New York. He now lives in Boston. And he didn't know anybody, and he was kind of shy. And he came to the meetup, and he had one of our barbecued sandwiches. And I guess it was a pretty transformative moment for him. And then the next day, he was in Williamsburg and went to try to recreate it, and went across the street from the knitting factory to what's the name of that place? Oh yeah, Fed Sow, and ordered a barbecued sandwich, and it didn't nearly live up to it, and that's because I don't get them from Fed Sow. We had this guy Jason who's been making the sandwiches, and so I mean he's our secret sauce. I kind of feel like, and it really kind of almost pains me. Like I'm having trouble even saying it, but he's moving to Maine this summer for good. For like he's leaving New York. So you guys might be the last group of people that ever gets to have this sandwiches at this meetup, but it's really played a deep, it's had a deep effect on me, on the meetup, and apparently on other people too. So anyway, I'll let you take it from there.
A little choked up about that sandwich, but we have a really great MusicTech Meetup in Boston, but the sandwiches are just nowhere close. So yeah, I live up in Boston now and work for this company, Izotope. We're based out of Cambridge, but I used to live in New York and work here as a musician and an engineer before I moved up there for this job. Izotope makes audio software, a little bit hardware as well, and they've been around for about 13 years. They got started in an MIT dorm room, and now they're a company maybe about this size. We have about 12 active software products. We'll be showing just one of those tonight. Seth and I were talking about what might be an exciting one to look at, and we decided to look at Iris, which is a synthesizer, and it was first released about 3 years ago, and it was updated last November, so this release went out in November. So this is Iris 2, and what it is a sample-based synthesizer. And what that means, there are plenty of samplers out there in the world, and there are plenty of synthesizers out there in the world. It's a very dense space. It's a little hard to find a little place for us to fit. But what we aim to do is to try and inspire and enable people to be creative in new ways that they might not be able to be creative with in another way, or they might not have access to the equipment because it's too expensive, or it's maybe a little difficult to get started with. So the team that worked on this project, this was really dear to us. It was mostly made up of developers and QA engineers and product people who were hardcore analog synth people. And we were like, all right, let's see if we can make a software synth that inspires us in some of the same ways. So for us, that's not necessarily always going to be a sound thing. Analog synths may have a sound that's totally unique, and they also have a workflow that's totally unique. But one of the things we wanted to give people is the flexibility that you might get in a modular synth, where you can plug anything into anything and just get all sorts of wacky combinations that you wouldn't expect to get otherwise. So the place where this lives between a sampler and a synth is, it feels a bit more like a synth. Like if you're familiar with Massive or the synths that are built into Ableton, something like that, this might be familiar to you. But instead of using oscillators, we use samples. And what that means is you can take just about any sound you can imagine and make a synth out of it. So in this case, in lieu of oscillators, we provide just waveforms that come out of classic analog synths that I can't afford, like an original Moog modular or an Oberheim 8-voice or an ARP 2500. And we can start stacking these things up and just do traditional subtractive synthesis if we really want to. So I have 2500, I'll use a mini Moog, and let's take something from a Moog modular. Then we just add a filter. And we're getting subtractive synthesis. And you can actually see it in that graphic display. As we open up the filter, we get the more harmonics out of that saw wave. So you could actually stack these analog samples from a bunch of synths, where if you actually tried to lock those oscillators together by some piece of magic control voltage wizardry, it might not work so well. So you have that option of stacking these things together and making some pretty crazy sounds. Now, what we wanted to do to bring in the element of sort of modular synthesis, getting to plug anything into anything, is adding this really comprehensive modulation system that can do some really crazy advanced math that we weren't sure if we'd be able to do it, but we did a bunch of prototyping in Max and Reactor, and then built this modulation system to be as robust as possible. So it works just like a lot of modulation systems like Massive and stuff like that, where you can just drag and drop things. And you can sync this stuff right to the rhythm of a host. So modulating something like master filter is pretty conventional. That's not a big deal, but you can get really crazy and add distortion and then modulate elements of that distortion, which is something that might be a little bit harder to do. But this is that concept of really trying to plug anything into anything and just start to get really sort of crazy creative experiences. Now, if you're not totally familiar with synthesis, if it's not your bag, you just like to play music, that's awesome too. We try to make this something that you can just make everything go away and be creative. And you may be asking, what's this thing going on here? And this is a spectrogram, and it's showing us frequency going top to bottom, time going left to right, and then intensity is going to be coming out with the brighter colors. So we're seeing each of these harmonics. And one thing that makes this synth very unique is that you can draw your own filters into this. So I can take a paintbrush. I'm going to solo this one up, and actually I'll turn everything else off so we don't have to hear those other things. So this is just a pretty pure sine wave. But I can start drawing in my filter shapes. This filter shape has a sad. But this can allow some creative possibilities that can get really interesting. And this is actually some intelligent technology that was developed for a noise reduction suite we have called RX, which is used in the film industry and forensics and all sorts of stuff, where they can go in and isolate just a single harmonic out of a sound. And if we get this set up right, you can start to go in and just pull something out. That's not very exciting when we look at it in the context of just a simple saw wave like this. But I'll bring up a patch, and there are 350 patches that just come with this thing, and show some of the possibilities of what can happen when you load really strange sounds into this and start pulling them apart. So I'll just play some single elements out of this. We see this thing that's coming there. Need to open this up so I can see it, and you may not be able to see it, but what it says up there for this sample, it's a rutabaga being hit. So that sounds like this. That's a rutabaga being hit. Not very exciting, but if we undo that, we get a little articulation there that we're going to use as the articulation of a sound. Let's look at some of these other sounds. I can just tab between them. This top one is the soda fizz. I'll remove this selection so you can hear it. So that's like you shook up some soda, you let it go, and we recorded it because we have nothing better to do and they pay us to do crazy things. But if you add in this selection, we get this sound. So that's sort of this evolving noise texture, and you can see that filter kind of moving as it goes through. Then we stack that with the sine wave from a Moog modular just out in the clear. So that sounds like this. And then when we listen to these things all together, along with some modulation and a little bit of effects, it sounds like this. So you hear that rutabaga at the very beginning, a little bit of fuzz sort of going across the top, and then just sort of a static sine wave going through. But there's some really exciting creative possibilities that can come out of folding chairs when you smash them over people, and random food. We made a whole sample library just out of food. And then going in and using some of the spectral selection technology, and some of the modulation possibilities to come up with some really exciting sounds. So are there any questions? Yes?
I have two quick questions. First of all, can you copy the filters and effects and transport them into other patches? Other samples?
Yes, there are ways you can do it. This workflow is something we actually need to work on, but I'm going to be right-clicking here. So I'm just going to right-click on this sample right there, and it says copy sample and selection. So I'll do that here, and then I'll go into this empty pool, and I can paste it. Now, let's say I want to now change the sample because I don't want 2 rutabagas, because rutabagas really don't taste that good anyway. Well, here's a different rutabaga. So it just adds a different texture. You could load in a different sample and see what you get.
And also, when you have a sample and spread across the keyboard, does it often mess with the speed of the sample, or as you go off the keyboard? Or?
That's a really great question. His question was, does the speed of the sample change? And we actually have a couple different modes to help with that or not. I'll illustrate that. Let's take a sample that has some rhythm to it so we can actually hear this. I just got back from Vegas, so let's listen to this. So we hear that going by. That sounds like a slot machine. But if we play it much lower, it's going to play back slower, and you watch that playhead go across the spectrogram, it's going to go by slower. So that is playing back much slower. We actually have another mode which takes advantage of some of our sort of high-end DSP, which allows us to shift the pitch but not the timing. So it's going to go by that fast. Changing the pitch, timing stays the same. Yes?
If someone was like a total novice at this whole thing,
Yeah.
What's the best way you recommend to get started? Like, do you guys have like instructions to kind of get people up to speed, or like have, or just like play around? Or what would you suggest?
I'm so glad you asked. I owe you $20. But if you click on this little help icon, in here you can get to the user manual if you want to fall asleep at night. You can also click this videos tab, which I'm not going to do because it's going to open Chrome, and I'm going to have 400 tabs open, and you're going to laugh at me. But we made a 20-minute user manual, which is 16 YouTube videos of about 1 to 2 minutes each. That can just get you started with the process, teach you a little bit about synthesis as you go. And another thing you can do, this is available as a free 10-day demo. This is a $249 product, I think. But it's available for a free 10-day demo. And you can just get it and just play with the presets in here. So if you have this, you have a keyboard maybe, even if you don't and you just want to try it, you can just go through and play presets and just see what comes out. And the other thing is we built some macro controls right into the top here so that you could start manipulating the sound without really having much advanced knowledge. And I actually assigned them to work with my keyboard, so I can just kind of start playing with this. And kind of making this sound my own just by using those macro controls. So that's a great way to get started too. The one other plug along the lines of demoing and things, we're able to give away a free copy of this tonight if you are hip to signing up for our email list. So I've got a little email list over there and also some stickers.
I was going to ask, let's say you wanted to, you had your own samples you wanted to use, and you had like 100 samples. How easy is it to add this to the library and pull them up? Is that like an extensive one-by-one process?
No, you can just drag and drop those right in. So if I had a WAV file here on the desktop, I could just drag it right in and then save that patch, and it would save with, it would save the file routing of where that WAV file is. So if you move the WAV file, it would be a drag, but there's a way to export that patch as a fat patch where it keeps all the samples with it. So that way you don't get messed up. Sorry, yes.
Would you be able to do an hour and a half live set with this technology, or is it more for sampling and production?
It's more for sampling. For something like that, are you thinking about bringing an hour and a half audio file in?
Yeah, exactly. Being able to be a VJ and DJ at the same time and actually have the video synchronized to the music, which would be great performance.
Yeah, you know, it's a really interesting idea, and some people have approached us. We have some other tools that actually are more helpful with that. So there's one tool we make called Insight, which is a metering platform which can show you this spectrogram, but it can also show it in 3 dimensions. You can also change some of the colors on it. And some people have actually used that, projecting that through fog, because you get kind of a wacky 3D effect that's adjusting with the music, and you could hook that up just to the output of whatever DJ software you're using, something like that. So. More questions?
What about the room right here? Could you run that through, or maybe
Well, maybe we could run one through out of phase and try and compensate for it. I'm sorry, I've got a few of those too, and they get so frustrating. They're not fun. I hope I didn't add more to them with my strange technology. Yes?
Wait, so is this supposed to be self-standing, or is it like if you're a music producer and you use, yeah, exactly.
Pro Tools.
Yeah, Pro Tools or what's the one?
Logic.
Oh, yeah, Logic Pro, exactly. Can you download it and then use it within that, or is it supposed to be separate?
Yes, and I've been bad about repeating questions, but the question was, can this work inside of a digital audio workstation like Pro Tools, Logic, Ableton? And it absolutely can. I'm using the standalone version right now, which if you're just doing sound design, it's fine for that, or if you really just want to bring your computer and rock out, you can do it that way, but most people do use this as a plugin, and it's VST, AU, AAX, ArtPaths, all of this. More questions? Okay. Yeah, so a final plug, there's like a mailing list, some stickers, and one of the other products we make that we don't have time to show, Ozone 6, usually you can download any product we make for 10 days, but these are 30-day demo cards, so if you want to hang out with it for a whole month, master a record, and then get rid of it, it's totally free. And it helps us justify coming out to do these things. So if you take one, then that makes it even better. Thanks.
All right. If you guys are looking for seats, there's like a few right up here in the front row as well. Great job, Brad, by the way. That was awesome. Oh, yeah. Oh, that's yeah, so I'm just going to introduce Don real quick. I've had the pleasure of knowing him for a few years now, actually, and he's one of these people that I just look up to in a big way. It's true, Don. But he's got an amazing background. In what year did you open your music? 1990. Okay, so in 1990, he opened a record store in Chicago, right? Okay, I'm sorry. Yeah, in Berkeley, California. You weren't gonna, this isn't part of your demo, is it? Okay, so Don opened Hear Music, Berkeley, California, 1990. People are still buying records. And the very first Starbucks opens up next door. And or maybe not the very first, but one of the first Starbucks opens up next door, and there were comment cards in the Starbucks, and one of the biggest comments that people were leaving was that they should connect their Starbucks to your record store, knock down the wall, and so this comment made its way up the chain, and the CEO of Howard Schultz, the founder of Starbucks, got word and basically just said, "How about we just buy Hear Music instead?" Right? Okay, that's a short story, but so we only got a few minutes here, but he's got this great bio, look it up. Don is a really interesting person. He also helped start the Red Foundation, which is a really cool thing that's still going on. And so that's enough from me. Go ahead.
Okay, good. I'm so glad I came for my life to flash before my eyes in the form of an anecdote. That was good. So it's super hard to follow that. That was amazing. I am going to, I don't know when I will ever make an album, but if I do, the title of the album will be Rutabaga Being Hit. That will be it. That will be the name of it. So I'm Don. I'm going to show you our product called Milq, M-I-L-Q. And it really comes out of my early obsession with mixtapes. I usually have to explain what that is to people, but in this setting, I hope I do not. And I loved mixtapes. I did start this company called Hear Music, which grew out of that, which was essentially, it was the first record stores that had listening stations in them, but the listening stations were mixtapes. So it was driving music, Paris radio. I would interview Tom Waits and have Tom Waits make a mixtape, and it would be his record collection there. And so we opened, there's a 7-year delay in the middle of his story between us starting and actually there's a 9-year delay. But we did end up, after opening 23 of those stores, selling it to Starbucks and then building the Starbucks music business, which was also sort of building mixtapes and playing music for people. And then I took a break from mixtapes, although I made mixtapes that if you subscribe to them, save lives in Africa with Product Red. But this business is really about feeling like we could apply the metaphor of the mixtape to culture now, and there's a couple of key ways it's different than the mixtapes I made long before. One is I love the idea of collaborative mixtapes, making mixtapes together, and I also love the idea of expanding it beyond music. I realize this is a music situation, and music is at my heart, but so we also love the idea of taking the mixtape idea and applying it to film and comedy and fashion and sports, and so that's what Milq is about. And I think the one other thing I would just say in preface is, I feel like it kind of comes out of the feeling that we've reached an amazing time in that we have kind of all the ingredients for like a golden age of curation and discovery, in the sense that all cultural content, any song you're thinking of right now, you can share digitally so seamlessly. And we're all connected on these networks, and everyone is sharing what they love constantly. But it feels really, to me at least, it feels really noisy and cacophonous. And there are genius things being shared. Questlove is sharing great things, but there's also like a kid in Moscow, Idaho, or in Cape Town who spends all his time on SoundCloud and YouTube, who is probably a better curator than Amir. And that kid is sharing amazing things, and they're going to his 214 friends and then disappearing into the abyss. And so there's a lot of great, what I would call wisdom being lost because we have this feed-based structure of our networks. So the idea of Milq was, could we create a really simple structure? Oh, did I do something terribly wrong? Oh, closer. Okay. All right, so I'm going to start at the beginning. So Rutabaga Being Hit, Don MacKinnon, Evolving Sound Wave, Saw Wave. There were so many things in there that would be incredible songs to play at the Hartford Civic Center. So the idea behind Milq is that like the way the networks we're sharing on are feed-based and ephemeral, and could we create a structure that would allow people to share with each other in a way that would be better for the people who are sharing, because they would feel like they're actually in a conversation where you found other people who share your interest. You get rewarded, you go, hey, that's a good one, all that good stuff, but it would yield something, right? That conversation wouldn't just be a little Twitter cloud that disappears forever. It would actually yield a map of that area of culture that somebody who is not an expert in film noir or Paris couture or klezmer, Polish jazz or hip hop could come in and just hit play. And those people who know and love klezmer, Polish jazz or hip hop had actually had a conversation that left an artifact, that left a map so that they could come in and hit play. So essentially, it's trying to foster conversations that yield almost a playable Wikipedia of culture. Does that make any sense? So, and so the way to think about it is like at the core of it is a question that starts a mixtape. Anybody can start a question. This one is Recording Studio Wayback Machine, which I just picked at random. But it could be what are the best drop shots Roger Federer has ever hit. It could be the actor Paul Giamatti started one on what are the best dream sequences in the history of film, or I can actually show you. Where am I? So, well, let's just start with like, so this is cool new artists. So you have a bunch of different folks. Well, let's do this one. So actually I'm gonna do one I mentioned this one's got Caitlin in it, right there. Caitlin, who we heard from earlier, posted herself in Cool New Artist this morning. But so it's totally fair. You kind of came forward with, you avowed, it was all right. So essentially what you're looking at is a conversation, right? So anybody can start this question, who are the best cool new artists? I'm gonna do a different, well, I'll do this. I woke up one morning, I was telling them about this. I woke up one morning and I was like, gonna go see The Head and the Heart. Anybody here like The Head and the Heart? And I was like, what do I love about The Head and the Heart? I was like, I love them because they're kind of like folky, but then all their songs build to this amazing crescendo of catharsis. So I kind of invented a new genre and I called it extra folk. And I started what we call a bead, which is what these playlists are. And I just put it out there. And I put in the local natives doing Cecilia. Somebody else came in and added the Proclaimers, O Cassius, Fairport Convention, Sun Volt. And these are all different people adding Boy and the Bear, there's Head and the Heart, Beth Orton, and not just adding it in, but actually writing why they love it. And you know, what I think is, what's cool about it is you can read it as a conversation, but you can also just come in and hit play and get the overlap of the voice of the curator and the conversation among the people in the community about the content. And when it finishes playing this, it's actually going to go ahead and go right into the Jayhawks Blue and then go to the Proclaimers, right? It's playing through that playlist. So that conversation among those curators yielded that playlist. And so it's like that. So that's, you know, I think one example of extra folk, of a bead. You know, another cool one is this Recording Studio Wayback Machine. So this guy Jonathan asked, a special device transports you to any recording studio session in history to silently watch and listen. What do you choose? So different people answered. He has Kraftwerk. Andrew Weissman does Miles Davis All Blues. This guy Doug Johnson does Van Morrison Astral Weeks. Adam Rubens does De La Soul. Patsy Cline. And they write beautiful things, which I'm not going to read to you now. Does anybody there have an answer? If you could go back to any recording session in the history of music, what would it be? Roxanne, the Police? The Eddie Murphy performance? Or no, just kidding. So good one, right? So we go add a post. And so I type in Police, Roxanne. And you can see it's seamlessly searching across YouTube, SoundCloud, and Vimeo, right? So it's going to pull up. It's going to pull it up. I can preview it. Now I can start and stop it, which I wouldn't do with the Police, but I would. You know, Paul Giamatti would do if he was doing a death scene. And then goes, okay. This is linked up with Discogs to make sure we have the metadata. We've indexed all of Wikipedia and all of Discogs because YouTube has no idea. Its metadata is a mess, right? So we're actually creating our own independent metadata layer. And then I come here and I can now write a headline. This is like Medium for culture, right? So I write why I love it, and you and I will talk later about what I would type here. And I can also see that the Police are in other beads. So they're in What's in a Name, which is a whole bead of songs that have awesome names in it, like Roxanne. There's Best Live Performances Ever. There's Little Red Schoolhouse, which is about songs involving education. So you can see people have gotten incredibly crazy with how they do it. And then I would post it, and it would go in. Did you have your hand up?
Yeah. So how would I search for extra folk? How would I come? You know, that's not a word I would necessarily
Right. So let's say you looked for the head and the heart. You would come here, and you would see. You should see. I don't know why you're not seeing it, but you would see it there. That's what you would do. I'll give you. That's really weird. This is a beautiful demo we're having, but thank you for your love. Exactly. So what happens is, as you start collecting content, you are, and the other point here is like, so there's top, which I'll talk about, trending, which is what's happening ongoing, the most recent one, and then as I collect the stuff that I love, right, so I can come in here and collect stuff, I've built my own version of the Extra-Folk bead. And so what's cool is I'm essentially building playlists, and there's an app I'll show you in a second, but unlike Spotify where I'm like putting playlists in there and then I got to do more work, when I wake up every morning, not every morning with Extra-Folk, but when I wake up every morning, curators around the world have added new stuff to the playlist that I have on Milq. And so I'm constantly and they're people I don't know. They are the people who are in, the kid in Madison, Wisconsin. So if I go rock, I actually can see, who are the top curators for rock on Milq, and go, oh, who's this Pamela Talese person? And then I can check out her collection on Milq and see all the beads that she started. So she started 39 different beads that are Rock Italia, Money Woes, Waltz of Sound, which is pop songs that have a 3/4 time. And you can sort of see the creativity that people bring to it. So, and I was going to show you, like, if you take that music idea and apply it to film, here's Paul Giamatti, who hates being interviewed, has like a BlackBerry, has never done social media in his life, and went nuts, texted me later that night and said, death. And I was like, what do you mean death? And he was like, death scenes. And so you end up with this beautiful bead of him doing The Godfather, Stanley Kubrick's 2001, where HAL 9000 is getting very slowly unplugged and his speech is starting to slur, and you get to read what Paul says about it. And then when it goes to the next one, you're at The Man Who Would Be King. And again, you have people all over the world talking to Paul, and because they're talking to him about this scene that he loves so much, he's talking back at 3 o'clock in the morning. I invite you all to look up his thing on Leonard Nimoy, which is one of the best things that was done on Leonard Nimoy. And so that's cool. I've probably talked too much, but that's what we're doing over at the Milq. Are there any questions? And I will repeat them. Yes?
How do you find and decide who your curators are, and is it anyone?
How do we find and decide who our curators are, and is it anyone? Is that the question? So, as I said earlier, right, it's like we live in this world of famous curators, and we have to like wait for Questlove to be on the cover of New York Magazine to know what hip hop to listen to, and we do have a bunch of famous curators on Milq, so we've got that going, but the idea of it is that we're helping to derive who are the best curators. And we do that by actually doing a bunch of machine learning and artificial intelligence on the back end to look at about 70 different signals of what's happening when you as a curator are there. So it's not simply like Reddit collecting the number of clicks on a thing. We're actually looking at, if you added something, how influential were the people who liked it? Did it get shared out? Did that get shared beyond that? Did those people collect it? And that's helping us figure out literally for every hashtag of culture. So Allen Iverson, Dunk, Drop Shot, klezmer, Polish jazz, we have who are the top curators for that, which is really interesting. So it allows us, we don't just use that to figure out who are the top curators, and it's not like Foursquare where we go, you're the mayor of indie rock. But what we do is we use it to figure out what are the top posts in each of those beads, right? So that a new person comes in and can get good stuff. Any other questions?
Why is so many of the bead titles, why are they questions?
Because we think of them as, it's a great question. The question was, why are so many of the bead titles have question marks at the end? And the answer is because they are an invitation to participate, right? So recording studio playback, the guy who started that, Jonathan Schechter, editor of QPoint, was like, question, you know? And so all these different people came in and answered. And, you know, so there's a bead of favorite cover songs. Question, there are 663 additions to it. There's piano hip hop that has 350 things in it. I mean, if you, this is, we call this the taxonomy, and you should get the app and like scroll through these, but it's really, you know, incredibly, like here, just in music videos, there's music videos featuring walking, Hello Dolly, which is music videos with surrealism in them. And it goes on and on. Okay, other questions? All right, I'm out.
Thanks, Don. Let's keep moving along. And yes, yeah, we have GigWax coming up next. And these guys are also, I'm sure they'll mention it, but they're throwing like a little after party at Pianos. So after this, let's go there and hang out more.
Stage fright. This actually reminds me a little bit of karaoke. So we have been working for the past 3 months on a project called GigWax. We're a team of 4. Amaury used to work at Bands in Town. We've got Mike, who used to work at AM Only as a booker and who started his own agency as well. And our beloved CTO, Adam. So we've all been through the process of party planning, of music programming, and of basically DJing for Amaury, me, and Adam. And the goal with GigWax is to help the local talents, local DJs, get gigs and perform in front of their friends and family and following. It's trendy to say so I'll say it, but we're trying to be a little bit like an Airbnb for DJ performances and gig opportunities. We've identified 3 main pain points that we're trying to tackle with GigWax. First of all, for DJs who are not professional DJs like us, it's actually quite difficult to get a performance and to give away a mixtape, and there are no real tools for those DJs to do so. So we're trying to lower the barrier of entry by giving them a profile page with all centralized information about their music. So their SoundCloud, their past experiences in gigs, some reviews, and an embedded booking and payment solution that we propose them. The second pain point is for venues and bars. Where they're trying, they want to have a full house, which is their goal, and so we're trying to roll in fresh crowds on a recurrent basis for them to achieve their goals, which is to get a full bar. And finally, we're trying to tackle another problem, which is with private events. Replacing the iPod dock is our goal, because we know that a DJ at any kind of event, a corporate event, I see a DJ booth here, so we might expect a call soon from the Orchard. But we're trying to make it memorable and affordable to bring a DJ to your party. So as you might understand, we have 2 sides of the marketplace. First, the DJs who log in with their SoundCloud. We're talking about the engaged, passionate, rock star in making who are trying to break through, not the top 40 EDM DJs who need bookers, need people to schedule their trips, etc. And if you think that there are not a lot of these kind of DJs, we had 2 tweets from famous DJs in New York and gathered 1,000 people on the platform. And then we have on the other side a constant flow of private events and public events. We have locked in partnerships with Piano, which we're doing a partnership tonight, but also the birthday parties, the weddings, the pop-up galleries, pop-up shops, etc. And those give us a great opportunity for DJs to perform and bring their crowds. So the best way to show you how the site works is actually for Amaury to do a little presentation on how the booking happened tonight for Pianos. Thanks.
Thanks, Alex, for the rundown. So as Alex just mentioned, we have a gig tonight. We have a partnership with Pianos tonight, and I'm going to show you real quickly how the Pianos people book their DJ through the site. So can you hear me? Yeah. Sorry. So this is our homepage. Beautiful. So let's say you need a DJ. Very simple. Navbar. Oh, sorry. I need a DJ. Gonna click on that. So you get on the GigWax for host pages. So GigWax offers two ways to quickly find the right DJ to rock your party. So the first way is to launch a DJ contest. So a DJ contest, think of it as a creative brief. You know, you're going to fill in this quick form here. Let us know how many DJs you need, what kind of music you want for your event, and then just sit back and relax and see like the applications coming in. And then pick your favorites. So this process takes about a week. We get like, in average, 20 applications per event submitted. So it's a week and I have about 2 minutes left. So I'm gonna show you the other process, which is to browse our 1,000-strong DJ community directly. So I'm gonna click here. So here we have 1,000 DJs. So if you feel like you have a lot of time to lose, you can just browse them all. But let's say I know like, you know, pianos upstairs, I think there's a good like disco vibe, so I guess that's how I got to the DJs. They filter by genre, so you can get really like precise if you know all the branding, like minimal, hip hop, whatever. So let's just get to disco and browse down a little bit. So we have a bunch of DJs. Oh, this Alex Cecil, by the way, is playing this Saturday. He's opening for Steve Angelo, so that's a nice outcome for him. So keep browsing, keep browsing. So this guy, Boat Shoes, for instance. It's a pretty cool name, so I'm gonna click on him. I end up on his profile, keeping it sexy, so that's already music to my ears. So I think that's pretty good. So this guy, he has some experience, he played at Output, or he's playing at pianos tonight, so obviously I'm reacting the thing, so. Yeah, so we have his music here, like a little SoundCloud integration, because you know every DJ has to sign up with SoundCloud, so we automatically pull up their description and music. So sadly the sound doesn't come there, but so you can sample the DJ's music here and check his reviews. So he has a pretty good score, but just one review so far because he hasn't played much yet on the platform, but give him some time. So yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and book this guy, you know. So click book, it's pretty straightforward. A nice little booking form shows up. Hey, wanna play? All right, the date, what time? 11, sounds good. Pianos, 2 hours, I give you $150. So that's more like a booking request, right? So you're gonna send this. Once you send it, you get taken to what we call the conversation page, which is exactly what it is, a conversation page, where you can sort out the other details, such as like, what equipment do you have? How many people can you bring to the party, which is often a big point, and yeah, just like sort everything out. I can cancel the offer if I'm not happy with it. So this conversation already happened, obviously, and at the end, when both parties agree, meaning when the DJ accepts the offer from the booker, we generate a booking confirmation page. So here it is. It's sort of like the vitals of the gigs are in there. Think of it as an invoice, maybe, to keep track of everything instead of always doing it under the table. Keep track of it. So you have Alex, I'm the host. Boat Shoes is the DJ. Pianos at 10 p.m. The fee. And then very simply, you can like, we have this little Stripe integration to get the payment going in a bit. Let's see. Remember me. Oh yeah, it's obviously a fake card, so. But you get the idea. So yeah, and at any point in time on the site, if you have any trouble like deciding what DJ should I book, I'm lost, there's too many options, you can talk to us here. I need help. We're available pretty much 24/7. You see, here it is, I need help. I'll respond to you right away. And yeah, that's it. We tried to keep it really simple. Also, this search bar is pretty nice. So we have about 1,000 DJs on the platform in New York right now. So if you heard a good DJs in a bar the other day, chances are he's going to be on the platform. So you can just look for him on the search bar. We're really proud of this search bar. Like Adam, who's there. I can find him in 2 seconds. He has nice reviews. And yeah, that's about it. So we try to keep it like clean, simple. We try to streamline this DJ booking process, which is a bit outdated. And as Alex said, we got a lot of inspiration from famous marketplaces like Airbnb. And we really hope to streamline this process and in the end have better music wherever we go. And yeah, we have parties at pianos later. So the guy I just booked, Seth Johnson, is going to be playing there with another DJ from the platform. They're both really good, and so we'd love you all welcome. It's free if you say you're coming from the meetup. It's upstairs. And yeah, I'd love to hear questions, if any. Sorry.
Do you guys have any plans to expand it into like booking musicians or other artists and DJs?
Yeah, so that's a great question. Do you plan to expand on other live music acts? So yes, of course we plan to. We started with DJs because, as you might have understood, we like all DJs more or less, more than less, and that's our expertise. We've been playing for like 10 to 15 years, and we know exactly what a DJ wants and how the booking process goes for those guys. So that's our niche. We're starting with that. We'd like to monopolize this niche, and then we'll expand to other types of, all types of live acts. We could even think of other types of entertainers, any types of gigs, like it could be like a makeup artist or something, That's why we took the name GigWax and not like something too DJ related. Yes?
You probably mentioned that out of the amount of money that somebody pays, what is your admin fee? Do you have an admin fee?
It's free right now.
Free?
It's gonna be. We got funded, so we're gonna keep it free until 2016, approximately. Then we'll take a 10%. 10%? Yeah, 10%, which is still much less than an agent or manager. Yes.
Do you plan to expand to non-live music? So let's say that I'm an artist, I want to hire someone like an up-and-coming Avicii to like provide backing for me. Is that something that you can add your product doing?
Like the question is, do we plan to book to have big DJs on the platform, big artists on the platform?
No, I just mean like, let's say that I want to record a track, for instance, and I want like a DJ to provide like backing tracks for me or something like that. Could you imagine your product being used for non-live music? Like a producer?
Well, yeah, we could use like the DJ contest I showed you. Like we could think of it as like any sort of contest. We had like radio contest already, but it's still very. That's a good question. I have to think about it actually. Sorry. Right now it's mostly DJs and live music and like gigs.
If you're browsing for an artist, let's say I need a DJ, how is it organized? I mean, because if it's alphabetically, then obviously those at the end are unlucky because they're not really to browse through. Like, is it random, or do you have for review, or?
Yeah, so it's a work in progress. We've been we are a 3 months old company, so like there's new features and new things coming up every day. So at the moment, if you go on browse all DJs, you can only filter by music genre. We have 2 layers of different music genre. For people who don't know, we like created those categories, so like something for all, funky, underground, laid back, whatever. And then you can have advanced filters, music, like more like precise music genre. We need to have we're going to add in the next couple of weeks a sort by. So we'll have like popularity, social, print. You see those little numbers? That's like the amount of followers on SoundCloud. We're going to add Facebook. We're going to do something with the next big sound as well. But right now it's pretty bare bone, obviously. But give us a couple more months and we'll have all that.
Okay.
Great. Thank you, guys.
So any announcements from you guys? If you'd like to share something, come on up for a sec.
Thanks, Seth. My name is Alex Ruthmann. I'm a professor of music technology and music education at NYU. And I wanted to reach out to the Meetup community. We're having a 3-week intensive music technology and experience design course for our students at NYU, but also opened up to area educators and high school students coming in to develop new music technologies for novices, for fans, for learning. And we're looking for mentors from the Meetup community. If you're at all interested in working with our students and mentoring projects or anything like that, come by and see me. We have a bunch of stuff going on in my lab, which is the Music Experience Design Lab, and we're designing a bunch of new technologies for music making with industry and nonprofit partners. So if you're interested at all at that, come and see me. Thanks.
Hi, I'm Joly. I'm with the Internet Society, and we're very happy to sponsor the live stream of New York Music Tech Meetup tonight. And I just wonder, how many people here actually use the internet? So how many of you have heard of the Internet Society? Well done, you. So the Internet Society is like, is basically, nobody owns the internet or runs it. It's like English, nobody owns the language. It's just an arrangement that people understand each other, that there are protocols that everybody understands. But without it, all of this wouldn't happen. And where this stuff happens, where these protocols are worked out is within the Internet Society. We have a thing called the Internet Engineering Task Force. We also have chapters all over the world where we deal with, establishing, getting people hooked up, but also the social and policy aspects of this. If you're at all interested in having input into this, into things like ICANN and the domain naming, copyright, all these issues, we cover them in the Internet Society. So, and we even have an interplanetary chapter that's working on how to communicate if you're planning to go off the planet anytime soon. So it's internetsociety.org, and you can choose to join the New York chapter, which I'm with. So Internet Society.
Hi, everyone. Sorry. So it's my first time here, so it was really great. I'm from Cornell Tech. I'm with a team of 4, and we're called Amadeus, and we want to create an instant payment platform for the music industry. So when a DSP streams a piece of music, we want them to be able to pay for a song directly, and all the appropriate parties will get paid. And so we're working on that. We're still in the early stages, so if anyone is interested in this, please come and talk to me. Thank you.
Anyone else? Cool. All right. Yeah, so big thank you to The Orchard for hosting tonight. Thanks to Joly for streaming it, Jason, the guy making the sandwiches, Caitlin for the music, and she's going to play another couple songs for us while we hang out. So, yeah, let's get up, have another drink, and then maybe head off to pianos. Okay? Thanks, everyone.
Keep looking back, oh brother, or you might lose It's my choice to make this right story. Keep looking back, oh brother. Keep looking back at me. Though I'm moving forward, I don't move fast, you see. Keep looking back, oh brother, or you might lose me. It's your will, it's your way. Stop you or slow you, I will not. But I cannot be expected to match you stride for stride. Bring you humor or ease your pride. 'Cause you are on your own, I'm on my own. We all start and finish this journey alone. Just because I'm moving slowly don't mean I'm not looking ahead. And the time we walk together is not something I will forget. I'm just taking it all in as I get to where I'm meant. So keep looking back, oh brother. Keep looking back at me. Though I'm moving forward, I don't move fast, you see. Keep looking back, oh brother, or you might. Keep looking back, oh brother, so you don't lose me. Thanks, everybody. My name is Mahoney. I have some business cards. I left them near the drinks. So if you want to hear more or would like to sign up for my mailing list, there's business cards over there. And I'm just going to keep playing. Thanks for listening. Some might call me garish. I've been called good. The only thing I'd call myself is a little misunderstood, except by you, except by you. There's a man throwing nice words at me, says I should take what I can get. I think he means to mean alright, he's just not articulate, not like you, not like you. Three weeks, can we put this on a loop? Me being the best me I've seen, and you being sweet, sweet you. Was it enough time to know ya? I am less sure every day. And as it passes passes on by, I feel further and further away from you, from you. 3 weeks, 3 weeks, can we put this on a loop? Maybe the best me I've seen, and you being sweet, sweet you. I'm not ready, I'm not ready, I'm not ready to let you go. I'm not ready, I need a little more time. I'm not ready to let you go. 3 weeks, 3 weeks, can we put this on a loop? Maybe in the best me I've seen, and you. Ooh, 3 weeks, 3 weeks, can we put this on a loop? Maybe in the best, maybe in the best, maybe in the best me I've seen, and you being sweet, sweet you. Thank you. The rain started right on time tonight. It'll mark the changing of my mind. From now on, how I feel about you. Ooh, I turn around and it turns out you're not behind me. You're calling it quits at the 3-mile marker, convinced that you'll fail if you try to go farther. Well, I don't think that's true, but I'm not waiting on you. What do you call bad luck? I call growth. But I always err on the side of hope. It's why I held on to you. Ooh, I turn around and it turns out you're not behind me. You're calling it quits at the 3-mile marker, convinced that you'll fail if you try to go time you weren't right behind me. You're calling quits at the 3-mile mark. You're convinced that you'll fail if you go any farther. Well, I know that's not true, and I'm done waiting on you, 'cause I can't carry you. I don't want to carry you. I think that I jumped into this too soon. I can't carry you. I don't want to carry you. I didn't know you before, but now I do.